everybody. Welcome to this special edition of the Glisten Podcast. This is the Homeschool edition, and I invited two of my friends who are homeschool moms to be on to ask them some of their tips and their tricks to help you while you're at home homeschooling. Between the two of them, they have 11 kids. Wow, that's a lot. So Kelly King, she has 5 kids, beautiful family, and she's going to be sharing some of her tips and tricks with us today. And then also Nancy Jean, who has 6 girls. 6 girls, count them, wow. And she's been homeschooling for a really long time, and so I'm just hoping that you can glean some wisdom from them as you embark on this journey of homeschooling. Hopefully you're enjoying it, but if you have any questions or anything that you're troubleshooting, hopefully they'll answer those within this podcast and hope they'll bring some hope and some joy into your homeschooling experience. Thanks so much for watching today. All right, so glad that you ladies are with us today. I brought in the homeschool experts, my dear friends. I have Kelly King and Nancy Jean on here, and they both are homeschool moms, and they have multiple children. So Kelly, why don't you tell us how many kids you have and what are their ages and how long you've been homeschooling?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to just say thanks for having us on here. It's such a privilege and an honor. Me and my husband, we have 5 kiddos. We have twins that are 8 years old, Isabel and Eden, and then we have Juliet, who is 4 years old, and Theodore is our only little boy. He's 2, and then we just had our last little girl, Savannah, and she is almost 4 months. I have been homeschooling for about a year and a half, and I just got to say it's something I never thought that I would be interested in doing, but it was a choice that we made, and I've actually learned to really enjoy it, and I think it's been such a blessing to our family, and so we're just happy to be able to do that.
Yeah, and juggling all those ages while you're teaching is, I'm sure, a challenge, and we're going to dive into that a little bit because I know there are going to be people that are watching that have the same dynamics in their home, and we want to offer them some hope and some help. So let's say hey to Nancy. Nancy, thank you so much for being on today. Why don't you tell us how many kids you are homeschooling and how long you've been doing that for and kind of their ages?
Thank you for having me on, Pastor Charlotte. It is such a pleasure. We have been homeschooling for, I would say, about 15 years, and we have all girls, and we have one that's actually done with her homeschooling. She's in college now. She's 20. And then we have a senior this year. She's 18. And we have 2 ninth graders in our home. One is my daughter, and one is my niece, and they're 14, 15. And then we have a 6th grader, and we also have a 4th grader.
Wow. Well, you guys, between the two of you, have 11? Is that 11 kids? I did the math right?
Yeah, it's about 11 kids, right?
So Kelly, can you tell us maybe just something that you have learned? What's something that's been helping you through homeschooling? What are some tips that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I would say something that I've been trying to implement more is when you're doing homeschooling, you have to basically run it like your business. And structure, I feel like, for me, is everything. And basically, my goal is to get everything done in the morning and just stay, to the most of our ability, stay on task and stick with the schedule. But also give yourself grace. I have to give myself grace. I have a nursing baby, a 2-year-old that is needy, and, a 4-year-old that wants to jump in and join the fun. So there's always grace in between that, but definitely writing a routine out for the next day and just trying to stick to that as much as possible just helps keep my sanity. And just helps things flow a little bit easier than just letting the day get ahead of you.
Yeah, so structure is definitely one of the things that I think everyone has said from articles that I've read and everything, but also being flexible. So that's great. And glad that you threw in your nursing, and you have a 2-year-old that needs attention and a 4-year-old that likes to get in the mix. So
Yeah.
that can be difficult to juggle that. So, and now that you guys are at home, we're all quarantined, and you can't go anywhere else. How do you break up the I don't want to say monotony because maybe it's not monotonous, but how do you break up the day? Can you just kind of give us your schedule?
To me,
Yes.
yes. So for my schedule, something actually real quick that we did that helped kind of break up our normal routine, but it was still doing homeschooling, and but it was kind of implementing it in something that isn't the regular, and it was really fun, and the girls loved it. If you have artistic children, which our Eden is super artistic, and so she doesn't enjoy the math, and she doesn't always enjoy all the structure. So the other day we did music class, and we had write a song, and so she was practicing her writing, and she was also so excited about the idea of writing her own song. So I thought that was fun. Sometimes you just got to switch it up and go off of the routine a little bit, and that helps with kids that are more prone to be creative and don't like the everyday same old. So that's something we did for her, and then writing stories and things like that for Isabel. She enjoys that. So that was something that we threw in that was a little bit different. But our regular daily routine is, we wake up, we do breakfast, and then I have some paperwork for each of our oldest twins. And Juliet she's our 4-year-old, so she's just starting the preschool. So I'm not as strict with her. I kind of let her do stuff that she wants to right now, learning the basics when she's ready. But she's pretty free to do what she wants to. But so the twins, they have their paperwork, and then they also do a lot of their stuff online with Time for Learning, and that's a great program that they've really enjoyed. I've enjoyed, and it helps me not have to be over their shoulder all day. They get to watch movies about what they're learning about, and then they have tests and things like that, and it tracks all of their work, which is super helpful. So once we do they do some paperwork, so they're still writing, they do their computer work, and then we'll have lunch, and that breaks it up, and then I let them have some free time after that, and then I'll usually have them like, okay, now we're gonna read some, or read to your brother, or read to your little sister, and try to make sure that they're learning throughout the day, but it's not always sit down and write and all of that. So, but most of our work always gets done in the morning, and I feel that helps a lot just to get it done and accomplished. So
That's great. I love what you said about the music, because I think we can get so tied into subjects being like English has got to look like this and math has to be in this box, and we separate everything. Where really, when you have the interdisciplinary thing with the cross-curricular things, like you're knocking out writing by writing a song. It's music. It's something that they enjoy, and we know that kids will, and adults too, will, based on brain research, if we enjoy something and we're having fun doing it, or something that we're interested in, we're going to learn it, and it's going to be better anyway. So good. I love that. I love your answer, and I love you guys like to do things in the morning. All right, Nancy, tell us again, what's your day look like? What's your kind of your structure? What is something that you've learned? What's been something that's been helpful to you?
Our day is pretty much the same as Kelly's. We get up in the morning. I have a lot of older kids, so I don't have to wake them up. They do that on their own. And some of my kids are doing school online, and some of my kids are just traditional homeschooling where it's not with another school. Some of my kids are doing online learning. So they have their set schedule. They get up in the morning and they know that the time that they need to log in. Some of them have online classes that they need to be in front of a computer with the teacher. They need to have their cameras set up and everything. So it's somewhere where they have to be. And the older kids are very good at keeping up with that schedule. They have breakfast and then they go to their online class. But I have my elementary, it's not an online school. So she gets up in the morning, she has breakfast, we go into the room. If we're going to do a devotion, we do a devotion. I find that when you start the day off with a prayer and devotion, the day goes by so much better. And then we look at her agenda. She has an agenda that I fill out every weekend. And we look at that, and each subject is there and what we need to do. And we have breaks during our day. Our days don't look like a full school day because we break it up and we do different things so it doesn't get really boring. And sometimes we'll start the day with something hands on. I let her pick whatever subject she wants to start with. I'm not a stickler. I've learned to become very flexible. So whatever subject you want to start with, that's the subject that we're going to start with. And we always make sure we take a break. We always make sure we have snack, and when it's time for reading, she can pick wherever she wants to read. She can sit on the couch. She can go lay in her bed and read. So we try to keep it interesting that way. So it doesn't get boring and it doesn't get mundane. Every day it's a little different. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. I know Kelly mentioned Time for Learning, and we'll put any kind of resources that you guys have, because we always want to remind people that you're not alone. There's so many resources out there. And so any kind of resources that you guys recommend, we'll put those in the show notes. But wanted to just do some troubleshooting right here, because everything, when people tell us their schedules, it sounds like everything's just flowing so perfect. And so I know that there's some troubleshooting that you have to do. Now, you guys have multiple children, and so there's an academic aspect of this, but there's also a relational aspect of learning and teaching and being in a house together with a whole bunch of other people. And so can you talk to us about how do you handle the relational side of that? I'm sure there's, maybe in your house there's never a squabble, but I just have a hunch that there might be some of that. So Kelly, why don't you start off and tell us how do you handle the relational struggles that may happen in your household? How do you guys deal with that?
Yes. Well, we definitely have our full share of that. I think the main thing is for everyone needs some sort of alone and quiet time, like including mommy, for sure. I think actually mommy's quiet time is most important, because if we can feel, grounded and at peace, at least for me, that's when I feel like I can handle, the different arguments that come up, or, spilled milk or crying baby and I'm trying to teach math. But definitely, like Nancy said, starting the day off with devotions, if it's just the mom doing that, that's a great start. If you can do it all together, that's a great thing. But sometimes, like I said, with grace, you have to have grace for yourself when you are stuck at home with kids, and just know that sometimes you just have to stop what you're doing and take deep breaths and talk it through, or have time out for whoever's being a disturbance. Lock yourself in a room, or no, but yeah, I think mainly is just trying to start your day off on the right foot, but that doesn't always happen. So just taking the time when you need it. And, there's days where we don't get started on time, and I don't beat myself up about it. There's been days when our whole morning has been totally thrown off. And so then in the evening, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just not worry about it for the morning time. And after lunch, after they've played, after I've kind of gotten myself together again, we'll do it. And then that's great when you're not trying to just force it to happen because you feel the pressure that it has to look a certain way or go a certain way. So grace, grace, grace. Sometimes you just need to have a praise and worship dance party.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And I was going to add, sometimes, like, if you have kids that you just feel so frustrated, like you were saying, each kid learns differently. And so for our Eden, she does not love or enjoy math. but I have noticed that she loves food. She's creative. So snacks are always a great motivator for her. Like if you can, use like Skittles or something that's going to just get them excited about it. And I think is always trying to keep the excitement there for everyone. That has helped a lot with her to just kind of get in the math mindset. She likes food is her love language, I think. So that's always a good thing to add treats, quiet time, worship time, dance time. So those are some of the things that we have to just stop and do every once in a while.
Yeah, I think that's great. And to remember that it's not a race. We're not in a race. Like
Yes.
I keep thinking it's like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen if we don't finish this today or tomorrow
Right.
or even a week goes by and there's just craziness that's happening? Like, it's okay. We're not in a race. I know that for school, you have to turn in certain things. But again, I think if we work with the teachers, then things will... They'll give us some solutions. They'll help work with us. But I always think, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then so what? If that happens, so what? So what?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be okay. All right, Nancy, why don't you tell us how you guys handle, your girls are amazing. All y'all, both of y'all have the most precious children, precious families, just so many different ages. But the Jean girls, I mean, they're just awesome. They're so well-mannered and they're so kind. I just can't imagine that they ever have any kind of disagreements. But how do you handle the relational moments at home?
Oh my gosh, you are so sweet. The girls are girls. So you can imagine a house filled with women. They all have different personalities. We all have different times, especially, female issues, and we just don't want to be bothered with each other. So the fact that, our house is a decent size for us, it affords us the ability to spread out sometimes. Sometimes I have to take the two younger ones, for example, I have to take them out of the same room. I might say, okay, Jillian, why don't you go upstairs? And Jiley, you stay downstairs and you work on this. And Jillian, you come upstairs. And I'll just go back and forth between the two because they're just not vibing that morning. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes they just need a break and then they need to be apart from each other. And that's okay. Or I'll say, Jiley, why don't you do something else? I'll give Jiley something hands-on just so she can leave the area that we're at. Go do this, and then I'll come and check on you, and I'll work with Jillian. And that's okay. And I love the fact that Kelly mentioned about flexibility. It's just being flexible because sometimes you do have a child that wakes up that day and they're not feeling very well. They're not feeling very well. So you pushing them is not going to help. So maybe that child needs a break. Okay, sweetie, why don't you just lay on the couch and you can have a break. But while you're laying on the couch, just go ahead and read this passage. So we're getting some type of work done, but that child's actually having their moment, their quiet time, and they're away from it all, and they're getting what they need. So it's just being flexible and being sensitive to the needs of others, the needs of others. And I love when you said that it doesn't have to get done all in one day. It's okay. It's okay if you don't get all of your work done in a school year. It's okay if you still have some left for the summer. That's okay. That's one of the joys of homeschooling, that you don't have to get it all done. As long as you're working and you keep going. If you get up one day and that day is shot, something happened, and you were not able to complete what you had to complete, it's okay. We can move on to the next day and we could try again. So it's okay. Just being flexible and giving yourself that grace and giving the kids that grace and being sensitive to their needs at that moment.
That's great. Great advice. All right, so as we close today, I wanted to just rapid fire. I'm just going to ask you for one question each. And so, Kelly, you tell me, I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Your number one go-to resource, helpful thing, your number one resource. Just rapid fire, tell me really quick, like 2 seconds. All right?
Okay. For homeschooling, obviously, it would be the Time for Learning website. I really love it because
Time for Learning.
Because not only is it's online, I don't have to be there, over their shoulder the whole time, but it also gives you the option of doing work a grade behind or after. And so I do have 2 different kids that one is ready to advance in certain subjects and my other one still needs a little bit help in others. And so I really love that feature. So there's not that pressure. They have to be in this exact spot. They can kind of grow at their own pace. And so that's definitely been a huge help to me with homeschooling, is time for learning.
Okay. Great. All right, Nancy, how about you? Number one resource.
My number one resource, I would have to say the library. Even with my kids being older, that's still my go-to. My kids love it. They look forward to going, and we pack everything up and we're just gone for the day, and we'll do school there, just getting out the house and doing school there. And some of the kids can get on the computer. The ones that have online learning can get on the computer and log in from there. And some of them, will give them a chance to kind of pick out the books that they're interested in. And I can pick out some books also that I want the kids to be exposed to. So I know we can't do it now because of social distancing, but you can also look up stuff on the computer. So the internet is always great. The library catalog and everything is on the computer. So that's always great. So one of my biggest advice for homeschooling is to just not be restricted to the home. There's so much learning that can be done outside of the home. So when we do get an opportunity to get out the house, I say take advantage and get out the house.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And there's an app called Hoopla that you can go through your local library and you can actually read books from the library, and you can watch them on your phone or your device. And so that's a helpful thing. I love that about the library, and I love all the help you guys have offered. I hope that brings some hope to you guys that are watching, and just remembering, it seems like the takeaways from everybody have just been: be flexible, give yourself grace, take care of you first, because if you're not at peace and you're not whole and you're not feeling it, then guess what? It's going to trickle down to the kids, and it's going to be magnified in the kids. And so take care of you as the parent. Remember your parent first. Be flexible. Have some grace for yourself, and don't get too boxed in and overwhelmed. Work with the teachers. Have grace for yourself, and just lean on each other. And know that there's so many resources. Make sure you check those out, because resources are the best. I love it. And then the greatest resource that we have is each other. And so reach out to other parents that are in the class if you can. Reach out to other people that you know that homeschool. Get their tips. Get their tricks, because you're going to need all the help you can get. Right? We all do. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope this was a help to you, and enjoy your kids, enjoy your family, enjoy this time. Even though we're locked at home, I think it could be one of the greatest blessings as we grow closer to one another, because family is so important. So thanks for watching today. Thanks so much for watching today, our Glisten episode, the special edition of the Homeschool. Make sure you like, subscribe, share on YouTube and all the places. Can't wait for you to share that with your friends. Hopefully you'll bring some joy into their life today.